Hi, my name is Jennifer Edwards, and finally, Sketchbook Chat number 4. It has been a very busy summer for me, beginning in June with our oldest daughter's wedding. We had a marvelous time celebrating her and her now husband. And we've had many other adventures, wonderful family events, getting back into teaching my knit and crochet classes. It has been quite busy, and my sketchbooks are a testament to lots of living and lots of drawing. So I am wanting to share with you actually today just a 2-day little sketch crawl trip that I took on my own to go visit my parents and to take them on a sketch crawl with me. So what happened, this was towards the end of July, and I had heard through the grapevine that my parents had taken to sketching and drawing in earnest, a little bit more than usual. My mom is an amazing painter and artist, and of course she works in a sketchbook off and on, but fairly regularly. My dad also sketches and draws in a sketchbook from time to time, and he had started doing this as well. So I thought, oh, what a great thing for us to do together. I'll go up to Boone and we'll visit some of our favorite haunts for sketching and drawing. And we had a terrific time. It was right at 48 hours. I think I left on a Monday. And the first place we went to was the Daniel Boone Gardens there in Boone. I grew up in Boone, North Carolina, and so many of these places have wonderful memories for me. The gardens they're located very close to the town of Boone in a little spot that I'm not sure many people know about. It is really a lovely spot, very small and quaint, but it makes up for any smallness in stature with offering all kinds of views for sketching and drawing, a little rustic well, some cabins, walkways with an arbor, just beautiful spot. Being towards the end of July, there wasn't a whole lot blooming there, but that doesn't matter. Anything is drawable in any state. And when you draw, you don't have to have the light just so necessarily. You just can draw what's in front of you and have a great time. So we enjoyed the Daniel Boone Gardens, spent a couple of hours there, and then the next day took ourselves to Bass Lake. And this is a beautiful, gorgeous spot that my mom and I especially have been to numerous times over the years to draw and paint together and to walk and just kick back and enjoy the surroundings, the beauty of the lake. This particular day, it was glorious. The weather was perfect. You don't always know in Boone what the weather's going to be like. The rain can open up on you at a moment's notice, but sunshine, beautiful temperatures. We had ducks, geese. I think we even saw a swan coming through the water lilies on the pond. It was really beautiful. And of course, the trees and foliage surrounding the lake with the walking path around it. It's the perfect spot. So if you're in that area in the mountains of North Carolina, you definitely should take your sketchbook and draw in either of these places. One of the happy kind of coincidences that happened when I was there, of course, I take several sketchbooks with me when I go outside of my studio to draw and paint. The biggest reason for that is that I often am applying watercolor and I'm impatient. And while the watercolor is drying in one sketchbook, I set it down to dry so I can start drawing in another sketchbook, and I don't have to wait for it to dry before I turn the page and begin another drawing. So I had, I had more than these 4 with me, but these were the 4 that I ended up making pictures in. But when I opened up my sketchbook, I realized that I had prepped some pages with watercolor washes. And I had been doing this for a few weeks prior to the sketch crawl with my mom and dad. because I was going out and putting soft pastel over top of the underpainting of watercolor. So I would just prepare several pages in all of my sketchbooks so that they were ready for me to work in the soft pastel. And I'll do a sketchbook chat for that someday. But when I got there to draw at Daniel Boone Gardens, there they were, these pre-prepared pages with watercolor washes. I'll just show you, I'll show this again to you in a minute, but this is an example where I just took my pens and drew over top of the already watercolored page. And I thought that it gave it a nice look to the drawing. It even in this case seemed to suggest the land in the background, the water of the lake that they're looking at to draw, even a little bit of sky up here. Maybe that's stretching it, I don't know, but I just loved the look of that. And there are several others that I'll point out to you in a minute that use that with the watercolor wash underneath, drawings in pen on top, and then I even added oil pastel and in some cases a little bit more watercolor to define certain areas. So I'm going to share with you several of the drawings out of these 4 sketchbooks, just of that 48-hour sketch crawl with my parents. Here we are at the Daniel Boone Gardens. This was the first place we took ourselves to draw. This is a lovely walkway with a very rustic arch over top of it. And I have enjoyed drawing with different pens in an attempt to give a sense of depth or dimension to my drawings. So I've got in the background here a pale gray brush pen, and I like the way that gives you a suggestion or just a hint of what's going on behind the main lines or subject matter. This is a drawing of my dad as he's drawing, and I have used my favorite continuous line method here to draw. It doesn't necessarily mean that I have drawn the entire drawing with only one line. It's probably more like 5, 6, maybe even 10 continuous lines put together, but that's my favorite way to draw. And then to finish off this sketchbook, which is a Moleskine, I even drew on the very last page that has the pocket so that I could make use of all the paper. And this was a pretty little wooden structure. I think it's like a small amphitheater, maybe where they give nature talks or something at Daniel Boone Gardens. And you can see that none of these pages had the pre-prepared watercolor washes, and I wanted to just show you what one of those pages might have looked like before adding a drawing to it. And this is very haphazard, very much just splashing the watercolor on, a little bit of splatter. I don't even have any thought as to what it is I might be drawing. On top of this, I've just laid down some color on which to draw or to work soft pastel, which in this case is what I had been doing with this pad of watercolor paper. This is of the Senior Botanical Gardens, and what I put on top of the watercolor was soft pastel here. I'll show you that in another sketchbook chat someday, but I wanted you to see what that underpainting looked like. Here is one of the pages drawn at the Daniel Boone Gardens with my pen work on top of the watercolor that was already there. And I just loved how it turned out. It was very much serendipity. I looked at this view and just began drawing, and as I was drawing, realized how beautifully the colors that were put onto the page prior worked together with the image to really bring it to life. The only thing I've done is add some oil pastel colors and highlight particular places here in the drawing. And then this one is also done in that way. This is at Bass Lake the next day, and it's my mom drawing the view at the lake, and again, just a little bit of oil pastel over top to add a little bit more depth and to bring out the subject more. This next sketchbook, it's a little larger, so I don't know if we'll be able to fit it all on here or not, but I hope this will give you an idea. It also had the watercolor down first, then oil pastels over top of it, and I just left it as is. Absolutely loved how, even the colors seem to work beautifully with what I was looking at. And again, switching up my pens width sizes, so I have thicker pens and thinner ones. I love how that gives some added texture and dimension to the drawing. This one, done in the same way, again, another page of random watercolor wash with the pen work over top, oil pastels, and then I came back over top of all of that with more watercolor to further define the tree. It was a beautiful old tree with this rhododendron branch that was kind of entwined with it, and just wanted to bring that out a little bit more than what the previous watercolor wash was doing. So that gives you an idea of that. I also had picked up, prior to getting into town, I stopped by my favorite art store, Cheap Joe's Art Stuff, and I bought another sketchbook. I knew that I was going to be finishing this sketchbook, and it's a Moleskine, and I wanted to return to the handbook journal. So I picked up one, and the first drawing in it on the very first page is at the Daniel Boone Gardens again. Here's that rustic well, a little bit of a cabin bench for seating, and I did not have the watercolor here done prior to the drawing. So this watercolor, you can see it has a little more intention as to where the colors are in the drawing. This watercolor, and it is only watercolor, there's no line work in it. This was made from the back deck of my parents' home. They have a beautiful view of the Blue Ridge Mountains. The sky was lovely, these trees there as well. And this drawing is of my father. There are some interesting junctures and intersections with a wreath that was hanging on the window behind him, and I just liked how that turned out in the drawing. This is of my mom's table, and she really does a wonderful job of creating an artful table with decorations there. I believe this is breakfast one of the mornings, and I just love sitting there. Here is a hint of the chairs on the other side of the table. I love sitting there and eating my meals with Mom and Dad. Here is a view at Bass Lake, again using different thicknesses of pen, a little bit of oil pastel, and then the watercolor over top this time. Whereas this one, it is the one I showed you earlier with the pen on top of a previously watercolor washed page. Here again is my mom's table, and it's the last day of the sketch crawl. Even though I sat here to draw this view, I added myself in with my cup of tea, and I really enjoyed being there, and of course I love drawing what's on top of the table at Mom's house. And then before I left, I made sure to sit on their back deck and draw one last time the beautiful view of the Blue Ridge Mountains in the distance that they can see there from their deck of Mom's garden, and looking forward to being able to come back up or go back up to the mountains and do another sketch crawl, I really hope this will encourage you and maybe inspire you to do a sketch crawl of your own sometime. You do not have to go out of town to do that. You can just pick places right in and around your area to go and draw. Grab a friend, grab a parent or two, or siblings, anybody you know who might enjoy going with you to sketch and draw in different places. I look forward to going back, and maybe someday I could even stretch it to 3, 4 days, maybe even a week of drawing. But this is basically what I do on Friday mornings downtown Kernersville. Even though we're only there for a couple of hours, every Friday we go downtown, we pick indoors or outdoors depending on the weather, and we draw together. And that is something you certainly can do right where you live. So I look forward to seeing you again in a future sketchbook chat. Hopefully it will not be as long as it took between sketchbook chat number 3 and 4. But between now and then, I hope you have happy hours and minutes of drawing, sketching, watercoloring, whatever, collaging in your sketchbook. And I will see you later.